family on holiday in a rented Airbnb cabin gather around the kitchen, phones out. One of them swears a drawer just opened by itself. They're filming it like a prank, half laughing, half curious, sure someone's pulling their leg. Then Dad walks up and puts his hand on the drawer.
See how hard to open that? Yeah. It push by itself. Go. Right.
He says he can feel it vibrating under his palm and his expression changes. This isn't a joke anymore. The scary video, posted by Reese Royales, shows the laughter cut out fast.
Can we go? Open it! Oh my God! Go!
They were strangers in a property they knew nothing about. No clue what the cabin had been before, who'd lived there, what had happened in those rooms. And something in the kitchen wanted them to know it was there.
No! Oh my God! Go!
Margam Castle in Wales has been sealed off for renovation, with the upper floors described by people who know the site as a death trap. No workers are allowed up there, no visitors, no member of the public. A woman is filming the grounds from outside when her camera catches something in one of the top windows. When she zooms in, you can clearly see a figure moving past the glass in a part of the building no living person should be anywhere near. The clips, uploaded by Haunted Foodie, show the perimeter fenced off and locked down with no public access, meaning whatever's in that window got there without going through any of the doors. The castle has a long and troubled history. Built in the 1830s in the Tudor Gothic style, it sits on land that's been occupied for over 4,000 years, and the ruins of an 11th century abbey still stand on the grounds. After the Talbot family's ownership ended in the 1940s, the place fell into disrepair. Then a devastating fire tore through it in 1977. Today, it's widely regarded as one of the most haunted locations in Wales. The most frequently reported presence is Robert Scott, a former gamekeeper murdered by poachers on the estate, and he's been spotted countless times on the Grand Gothic staircase. Paranormal investigators who've tried to reach him say they've had rocks and pebbles hurled at them by an unseen force. The upper floors, particularly the rooms that once served as a nursery, are said to be haunted by children. Visitors have reported apparitions in Victorian-era clothing, giggling on the staircases, and the sound of small feet running across the floorboards. Tour guides have even had living children wander off and return saying they'd been playing with other children no one else could see. So could this just be old glass distorting a reflection? Possibly. Uneven panes can suggest movement where there isn't any. But the figure in this scary video moves through the frame, not across it. And the room behind that window has been off limits for months. If no living soul was up there, who was at the window?
So we'll see whether we catch this mouse out in the morning, and then Ted will have to believe me that there is something running above their bedroom. I'll see you all in the morning. Good night.
Lisa thought they had a mouse problem in the basement of their 14th century French chateau, so she set up a camera and left it rolling overnight. What ended up on the recording wasn't a mouse.
Yeah. So this would be about 2:30. This happens.
One of the basement doors slowly opens on its own.
Now you heard the latch go off the door.
And the motion-activated lighting flickers to life.
The motion sensor light.
Yeah.
In the dim glow, a faint shadow can be seen moving through the room.
Bloody hell, what? There's shadow there?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see a shadow moving across it.
Yeah. Keep watching.
There's no one else in the chateau at the time, no draft strong enough to swing a heavy medieval door, and the shadow doesn't move like any animal she'd been hoping to film.
Bloody hell, what? There's shadow there?
Yeah.
Yes, I can see a shadow moving across it.
Yeah. Keep watching.
Oh my God. What? That's got to be an animal or something, isn't it?
That was a
How?
big shadow for an animal.
How?
The chateau in question is the Chateau de Montmagny, a crumbling property in the Limousin region of France that dates back to the 1300s. It was once part of a medieval village and later served as a relais de poste or coaching inn during the 1700s. British couple Ted and Lisa, originally from Essex, bought the property for around £160,000 in March 2020 and have been restoring it themselves, documenting the entire journey on their YouTube channel.
Put me full ceiling.
It's looking good.
Ted, Lisa and several of their guests had apparently been experiencing strange occurrences throughout the renovation, but they chose to keep quiet about them until Halloween 2025, when they finally published a video titled Ghosts at the Chateau: Echoes of the Past.
What is it? What is it? Hello? There's nobody here. We can't.
One of the strongest stories they shared happened in early December during a filming day for Channel 4.
So this is the attic space of the chateau. We actually have two attics. This is one of the areas, and this again is footage that happened when a cameraman, John, was here for the Channel 4 programme. We had been installing a new roof in the chateau.
The roof renovation had just wrapped and the builders had left the attic completely spotless. Ted and Lisa actually commented on camera about how clean the workmen had left the space. The cameraman that day was a veteran of nearly 40 years in the industry, a man called John, and he was up in the attic filming an interview with Ted and Lisa about the finished project.
After the interview's finished, me and Ted go away and John will stay in the area and do close-ups of what we've been talking about. On this occasion, we did the interview up here and it was completely clear at that stage because the workman who'd done the roof had just left.
During the interview, Lisa made a passing comment that she'd better start thinking about getting the Christmas decorations out.
After we'd finished the interview, it was beginning middle of December, wasn't it?
It was definitely after November because they finished in
It was definitely
November.
December. And I said, I better start thinking about getting the Christmas decorations out now.
After the interview wrapped, Ted and Lisa headed downstairs for a cup of tea, while John stayed up in the attic alone to film some close-ups of the space.
Just an off-the-cuff comment. We went downstairs, had a cup of tea. John came back up to do the close-ups and immediately came running back down the stairs and said, "You've got to come up and look at this."
Within minutes, John came running down the stairs and told them they had to come up and see something.
We came back up here and in the middle of the floor was a pile, and it had been piled quite neatly, of old Christmas decorations, all cracked and crumbling, very old baubles and handmade Christmas decorations, and they were in a pile just in the middle of the floor.
In the middle of the attic floor was a neat pile of old cracked handmade Christmas decorations. They looked ancient, far older than anything Ted or Lisa had ever owned, and they'd been stacked deliberately, as if someone had taken the time to arrange them. The first thing they did was review John's interview tape just to make sure the decorations hadn't been there the whole time.
Now we looked back on John's camera just to make sure that we hadn't missed them when we was up here doing the interview, and he looked back on his footage, and during the interview the floor was completely clear.
The building has more than 700 years of history packed into its stone walls, centuries of life, death and everything in between. And after years of staying quiet, Ted and Lisa now believe they share it with something else.
Yeah.
And that's the light coming on.
Bloody hell, what? There's shadow there?
Yeah.
It's, I can see a shadow moving across it.
Yeah. Keep watching.
Oh my God. What? That's got to be an animal or something, isn't it?
That was a
How?
big shadow for an animal.
How?
I put Baqarah on my house. That same day.
A woman blesses her home by playing Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran, a well-known Islamic tradition believed to drive out evil spirits and protect the household. Shortly after the recitation ends, something starts happening in her daughter's bedroom. The eyes of her daughter's Peppa Pig plushie are moving on their own. She thought her mind was playing tricks on her until her son walked in and saw it too. In a follow-up clip, Iconicana shows the toy sitting completely still, eyes back to normal, which only makes the original scary video more eerie.
His eyes are like this. This eyes cannot even move. Look. Oh my goodness. Peppa Pig, how are you moving your eyes in the dark?
In a final update, desperate for answers, she cuts the plushie open.
It could have been recycled or something. But yeah, there's nothing in it. It's empty.
Many viewers offered a different explanation, not witchcraft, but a jinn. In Islamic belief, jinn are supernatural beings created from smokeless fire. They possess free will, exist in a world parallel to our own, and according to tradition can inhabit objects, animals, and even homes, particularly spaces that are unclean or spiritually unprotected. When a home is blessed or cleansed, any jinn residing within may be disturbed and forced out of their hiding places. But whatever was using the toy as a vessel doesn't appreciate being evicted. That's the theory, at least, and it would explain why a Peppa Pig plushie suddenly opened its eyes on the day of a blessing. Number The closet in this kitchen is barely wide enough for a washing machine and a dryer side by side. The doors only have handles on the outside. There's no way to open them from within, and nobody's home. The camera keeps rolling. The footage was uploaded to Reddit by lazy_strawberry07, who caught it on the kitchen security camera at their father-in-law's house. The father-in-law has been experiencing strange occurrences there for years. Voices, objects shifting around the house, human-shaped shadows gliding across the walls. The dogs will sometimes growl and bark furiously at nothing, but the closet doors have never slammed on camera quite like that. And there's one more thing in the recording. Toward the end of the clip, a light begins flickering on and off. According to the post, that light has never worked at the property, not before the incident, not after, and still doesn't to this day. Yet on camera it flicks on and off repeatedly, as if something is playing with it. A plumbing surge or a sudden change in air pressure could rattle a poorly fitted door, but it wouldn't slam doors that have no handle on the inside, and it certainly wouldn't make a dead light flicker. Whatever moved through that kitchen ignored every rule the house was built on.
This is actually creepy. Watch this.
Pasha Brill has been feeling watched in his own house, a remote property out in the countryside. He stands up from his armchair, flicks off the light, and films what's left behind in the dark.
1, 2, 3. There's a silhouette right in front of me.
A dark, human-shaped silhouette is standing in the room. A shadow figure, perfectly still, as if it had been there the whole time, waiting for the lights to go out.
Nah, this is messed up.
When the light flicks back on, the shape is gone.
I turn the light back on. There's nothing there. So where the hell is that shadow coming from?
Pasha had been feeling watched for days before he ever picked up the camera. Whatever he caught wasn't drawn out by the dark. It was already there, in the room with him, every time he sat down in that chair. The only thing the camera changed was whether he could see it.
Nah, this is messed up.
A man is at the local park with his wife and daughter when he hears something near a tree. It's faint, barely there, but it's enough to make him pull out his phone and start filming. Something starts peeking out from behind the trunk, not at ground level, halfway up. It looks out once, ducks back, then again, the same motion repeated as if whatever's behind the tree is watching them as carefully as they're watching it. The family doesn't stick around, they turn and leave. But the story doesn't end there. The man and his wife went back to the park the next day, this time keeping their distance. The wife refuses to go anywhere near the playground after what they'd seen. As they're standing there talking through how disturbing the encounter had been, the camera catches something else.
¿Dónde está? Nada, prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, no más, chequen ustedes, miren.
A piece of playground equipment, completely still for the rest of the recording, suddenly starts moving on its own.
No más ese aparato ese que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón.
No wind, no other visitors, no kids in sight, just an empty playground and a single piece of equipment rocking back and forth as if something invisible was using it.
No, vámonos ya. Nos vemos, aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio.
A child standing on something behind the tree could explain the height of whatever they saw. A breeze the camera didn't pick up could explain a piece of equipment moving on its own. But neither of those things explain why both happened in the same park on consecutive days to the same family. Whatever's at that playground knew they'd come back.
¡Asómate!
Catholic exorcist Father Chad Ripperger has spent decades on the front line of the church's most disturbing work. And in March 2026, on episode 285 of The Sean Ryan Show, he made a claim that's been bouncing around UFO discourse ever since.
I do know other exorcists where they would, in session, they would actually, once the demon manifested, they would manifest in literally looking like an alien with the eyes and the small mouth and the whole bit turning gray.
He says that during exorcisms, demons have physically manifested in front of him as what most people would recognize as grey aliens. Small mouths, oversized heads, grey skin.
they would, in session, they would actually, once the demon manifested, they would manifest in literally looking like an alien with the eyes and the small mouth and the whole bit turning gray. And they even call themselves gray, and they try and lie to the exorcist.
According to Ripperger, these entities claim to be neutral. They sit somewhere between angels and demons, they say, just observers, just visitors. He believes that's a deliberate deception.
Just by saying, oh, well, we're not angels, good angels, and we're not bad angels. We're not demons. We're kind of in the middle. We're neither good nor bad. No, dude, you're just a demon, right? Because when you start talking to him, it's all that is a diversionary tactic, which they do in the sessions.
This is an entirely new territory. In 1969, French researcher Jacques Vallée published Passport to Magonia, drawing striking parallels between modern alien abduction accounts and centuries-old folklore involving fairies, spirits, and supernatural beings. The patterns line up with unsettling precision: missing time, paralysis, strange examinations, strange beings at the edge of the bed. Same encounters, different vocabulary. The reaction online has been split. Some viewers connect Ripperger's claim to the Nephilim in Genesis 6, the idea that non-human entities have interacted with humanity since biblical times. Others dismiss the theological angle entirely and argue the church has no business in the UFO conversation. But the part that's hard to shake is the consistency. Different cultures, different centuries, the same descriptions. Whether you believe the answer is extraterrestrial, interdimensional, demonic, or something we haven't named yet, the entities themselves don't seem particularly interested in which label we land on. They keep showing up either way.
Just by saying, oh, well, we're not angels, good angels, and we're not bad angels. We're not demons. We're kind of in the middle. We're neither good nor bad. No, dude, you're just a demon, right? Because when you start talking to him, it's all that is a diversionary tactic, which they do in the sessions.
Okay, this is weird.
Trish Phillips has had this stained glass piece hanging on her bedroom wall for almost 20 years. She filmed it once on her old phone, not long after she had it framed.
I was going to show this to you because this was a gift given to me by a friend years ago. And one of my favorite games to play with people is using it like a Rorschach test. You know, what do you see?
In that early footage, you can see the coloured glass clearly, and people who've looked at it say they spot what looks like a white unicorn on the right-hand side, like a Rorschach test made of light.
I haven't actually looked at this in probably about a year. And this time, normally, like over here where that white is, there used to be something that looked like a unicorn's head there. And it's gone. The thing's changed on me.
Years later, after upgrading to a much better phone camera, Trish goes to film the glass again.
What do you see? It's a piece of stained glass a friend of mine framed for me. So different people will see different things. Almost everybody sees the unicorn, but what else do you see?
The image in the glass has changed.
What do you see? It's a piece of stained glass a friend of mine framed for me.
Now, you might assume the piece had simply been turned around, but it doesn't work that way. Stained glass doesn't transform when you flip it. It reverses like a mirror image. What Trish is showing is something different. And if you look closely, the same crack is still visible at the bottom of the frame. Same piece, same wall, same frame. The colours and shapes inside the glass itself look different. Trish submitted her unexplained footage to us directly, and the response from people who've looked at it has been almost unanimous. This shouldn't be possible. Stained glass is fixed. The colours are fused into the material at the molecular level. They don't shift, they don't rearrange, and they certainly don't quietly remodel themselves over the course of 2 decades. Trish has no explanation, neither does anyone who's looked at it since. A piece of glass that was supposed to outlast her, doing something glass isn't meant to do.
And this time, normally, like over here where that white is, there used to be something that looked like a unicorn's head there, and it's gone. The thing's changed on me.
Porque se tem piscina, tem que usar.
She's alone in her backyard pool late at night, filming a vlog.
Eu falei só pedacinho, né? Eu tava dormindo.
Behind her, something strange happens.
Eu tava dormindo.
A hand, pale, deliberate. It breaks the surface for just long enough to be unmistakable, then silently slips back under.
Gente, vocês perceberam que apareceu?
She catches the movement out of the corner of her eye and turns to look.
Não, gente, aquilo foi a pata da Meg ou foi... Eu vou lá.
There's nothing there, just still dark water.
Gente, que babado foi esse? Ui.
Her first thought was the family pet, but the shape and movement don't match. A paw doesn't break the surface like that, and her dog hadn't come out with her. She was alone in the pool. No one else was in the water. No one hiding beneath the surface. Whatever reached up out of that pool was gone by the time she turned around, and the water gave nothing back.
Não, gente, aquilo foi a pata da Meg ou foi... Eu vou lá. Meu Deus do céu.
Now here's the headlines from This Week in Weird. In the Brazilian state of Alagoas, ranchers keep waking up to the same scene. Animals drained, no struggle, no tracks. The killings started back in February and went global in early April when fed-up farmers in the region sounded the alarm. Now Coast to Coast AM is reporting 2 more attacks this week, pushing the running tally past a dozen: sheep, pigs, goats, even rabbits. Locals are saying it out loud: chupacabra. And the pattern fits the file a little too well. Puerto Rico in 1995, that hairless thing pulled off a Texas road in 2004. Wildlife biologists keep pushing the mangy coyote line. The farmers aren't buying it. From northeastern Brazil to the swamps of southwest Louisiana, where another upright something just got a name attached to it. In Westlake, Louisiana, a woman moving hay bales at dusk on April 14th says she watched a tall, dark-furred figure crash away from her through the woods and over a canal. KPLC ran the report this week. She filed it with the BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organisation, and BFRO President Matthew Moneymaker followed up by phone. He called her a very credible, intelligent, long-time employee of Citgo at the corporate level. Class A sighting, no photo, no second witness, just one person who's lived on that land for years and knows what doesn't belong there. And the Gulf Coast doesn't usually feature on the modern Bigfoot map. It does now. And speaking of the cryptid run, quick heads up, the low-key cryptid enthusiast tea is back in stock. Link in the description. From a single witness in the woods to something the entire day side of Earth felt at once. On April 23rd and 24th, sunspot region AR4419 fired off 2 X-class solar flares roughly 7 hours apart. Shortwave radio went dark across the Pacific, then Australia, then East Asia within hours. 2 days later, AR4420 dropped an M6 just to keep the active region honest. For context, in 1859, the Carrington event ran enough current through telegraph wires to start fires in the offices. In 2012, we missed a Carrington-class coronal mass ejection by 9 days. NASA later said a direct hit would have knocked us back to the 18th century. The sun is sitting in solar maximum right now, and the disclosure crowd is already linking the timing to alleged ET activity around it. Probably coincidence, but the timing is doing a lot of work. Speaking of UFO adjacent timing, the dead scientists list just hit a new phase. On April 28th, both Snopes and PolitiFact ran the missing and dead scientists list on the same day. First, coordinated mainstream pushback since the story broke. NASA went on the record telling PolitiFact that nothing related to NASA indicates a national security threat. The Boston Globe added local heat by pointing out 2 of the names. MIT professor Nuno Loureiro, killed at his home in Brookline, and Wakefield pharmaceutical researcher Jason Thomas, found dead in March, both Massachusetts cases. Meanwhile, the FBI investigation is still active, the House Oversight Committee is still asking questions, and the White House press secretary is still posting about it on X. The fact-checkers have arrived, the list hasn't shrunk. Make of that what you will. That's your rapid-fire round. Now back to the countdown. On Thanksgiving Day 2009, Mike Schell and his family gathered at a cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio to visit the grave of his late father, Roger. The date was loaded. It was the same day Roger and his wife had been married, what would have been their 50th wedding anniversary. It fell 2 days before his mother's 75th birthday and less than a month after the 40th anniversary of Roger's death. The family placed a glass of champagne on the headstone and raised a toast in his honor. Someone snapped a photo during the toast. No flash, no setup, just a quiet shot of the family gathered around the grave. When they looked at the picture later, there was something unexplained in front of the gravestone, a strange streak of mist or light, a luminous trail with no obvious source. The family also believes they can see Roger's face in the champagne glass on top of the headstone. Mike says the resemblance is unmistakable. That part you can argue with pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find faces in random patterns, especially under emotional weight, but the streak of light is harder to wave away. Photos taken on autumn afternoons don't usually carry their own glow. And the dates layered on that single Thanksgiving, a 50th anniversary, the 40th year since his death, his mother's 75th, make accident hard to argue. Roger Schell never made his 50th wedding anniversary, but on the day his family marked it, something stood by his grave. The sky over Doha was alive with lightning on the 25th of March, 2026, with bolts cracking through the clouds in every direction. But it isn't the storm that catches the eye, it's what's hanging in the middle of it. Three distinct orbs of light holding motionless in formation against the chaos behind them. They don't flicker like lightning and they don't drift like aircraft. They just sit there suspended in the storm, ignoring it entirely. The footage was uploaded to Reddit's UFO community, where it gained traction quickly, fast enough to catch the attention of Americans for Safe Aerospace, an organization that doesn't take an interest in most of the scary videos circulating online. ASA is a non-profit founded by former FA-18 pilot Ryan Graves, and it describes itself as the world's largest UAP advocacy community. It works directly with pilots, aerospace safety researchers, and government agencies on data-driven analysis of unidentified aerial activity. After seeing the Doha footage, they reached out to the witness and asked him to submit a formal report. When the people who actually fly through this stuff start asking questions, it's not because they think it's a Chinese lantern. Skeptics have suggested ball lightning, which has been documented during severe storms and can produce strange visual artifacts. Others have flagged the proximity of Al Udeid Air Base. Qatar hosts the largest US military base in the Middle East. But ball lightning doesn't hold formation, and 3 classified aircraft hovering in tight formation directly above a major city during a thunderstorm isn't an operational pattern any military runs. Whatever was over Doha that night didn't belong to the storm, and the storm didn't belong to it. Before we get to our last segment, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll always be in the loop every time we drop our scary and creepy content. In late December 2005, Mark and Marianne came downstairs one morning to find every chair in their kitchen stacked on top of the table. Nobody in the house had stacked them, and over the next 10 months, what happened inside their terraced house on Lock Street in South Shields became the most heavily documented British poltergeist case since Enfield in 1977. By the time it ended, paranormal investigators Mike Hallowell and Darren W. Ritson had compiled a remarkable body of evidence. Around 24 hours of video, more than 500 digital photographs, 3 hours of recorded interviews, and 17 signed witness statements. The family at the centre of it was Mark, Marianne, and Marianne's 3-year-old son, Robert. For the first 6 months, the activity built slowly, doors found open, taps running on their own, a chest of drawers that walked itself out of the bedroom and onto the landing overnight. Robert's battery toys started bursting into life unprompted, and a toy parrot began repeating phrases nobody had taught it, witnessed by 2 producers from Orion Television. Robert told his mum he had new friends, a lady and a small boy he called Sammy. By June 2006, Marianne had reached out for help. Ritson visited the house with Hallowell on the 17th of July 2006, and within 4 hours of arriving, they witnessed their first incident. A small yellow plastic nut from Robert's toy workbench flew across the room with serious force, ricocheted off a cupboard and hit Marianne. A second toy slid into a metal bin on its own. A rubber ball materialized on Robert's bed, hot to the touch. Over the following weeks, the activity escalated. Robert's magnetic doodleboard became the entity's preferred method of communication, with messages appearing on it on their own. Get out. Die. I will kill you. Die, bitch. You're dead. The handwriting was sent to 2 independent graphologists, one in the United States and one in the UK. Both came to the same conclusion. The writing appeared mostly to be that of an adult male. What happened next was directed at Mark. After a tug-of-war episode in bed where an unseen force pulled the duvet off him, he complained of burning across his back. 13 sharply defined scratches appeared on his skin, then vanished within minutes. Hallowell was called in by taxi and he photographed a later attack while it was happening. He said the skin on Mark's back developed an elongated red patch first, and then sharply defined scratches formed inside it. Cuts began to appear on the right side of his back and immediately bled. The skin around them then darkened, almost as if it had been sunburnt. Then the phenomena spread to the phones. Marianne's mobile started receiving threatening text messages from devices the investigators had verified were powered down. SIM cards out, batteries out. The bitch will die today. Going to die today, going to get you. Tonight is the night you will die. The texts were responsive to live conversation. After Marianne told Hallowell over the phone that she was frightened to go to sleep, the next message read, I can get you when you awake, and I'll come for you when you're asleep. The landline rang too. With every phone in the house sat in front of Ritson on the dining table, batteries removed, a robotic voice spoke down the line. Hi, 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 hi. Then later, hello, hello. Sorry. Other phenomena defied physics outright. In this photo, you can see a bottle leaning at an impossible angle. In another incident, a cup verified to have been inside Robert's locked, closed bedroom was witnessed falling through the air outside the house, with the window shut and locked the entire time. On separate occasions, coins were thrown from empty rooms and passed through closed glass interior doors before clattering down on the other side. Then, they started seeing things. Hallowell and Marianne both watched a 2-meter, midnight black, faceless humanoid figure standing on the landing outside Robert's bedroom. Hallowell described it as a 3-dimensional silhouette that radiated sheer evil. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Tableaux started appearing around the house. A rocking horse hanging by its rein from the loft hatch. A toy bunny seated on a chair at the top of the stairs, holding a box cutter. A razor blade resting on a teddy bear's foot. In October 2006, after one final terrifying week, the activity stopped. Hallowell and Ritson credited 2 changes. They had coached the family to stop reacting with terror, theorizing the entity was feeding on it, and they had unplugged every standby electrical device in the house at night. The case has since been reviewed twice by the Society for Psychical Research. Alan Murdy inspected the archive in person in October 2009 and ranked it alongside the best documented British cases of the last century. Guy Lyon Playfair, the lead investigator on the Enfield haunting, wrote the foreword to the resulting book. But in 2022, a follow-up paper from researchers at the University of Derby flagged something the original investigation had missed. When the doodleboard messages were reanalyzed, the closest handwriting match wasn't the entity, it was Mark's. Whether he was a conscious hoaxer, an unwitting dissociative producer of those threats, or what parapsychologists call a focus person for the activity, that question remains open. 20 years on, what happened inside that South Shields terrace remains one of the most evidentially loaded paranormal cases in modern British history, and one of the hardest to explain away. Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see some of our longer compilations, then check out those 2 links right there. Remember to leave us some feedback in the comments down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.